These are the most overpowered players in Ultimate Team history. It's gonna get historic. I bang Lahore. I've leaned into the silver iteration. FIFA 13, at least sweaty. I don't know if he's quite gifted and talented, but he did impact play. Aubameyang, I hated going up against him. Undeniable sweat fest. Bakayoko, this might be against the grain. He was the poor man's Conte after Conte proved what Conte could accomplish. When I was looking at Overpowered, I thought about some of the high rated, I thought about just gold items, and by definition, Overpowered is confusing. It's subjective. Should these players have a cap rating? I didn't go heavy into the promos. Felt like that should be separated, even though some promo items clearly, night as day, overpowered. You can let me know. Oof. Ben Arfa was disgusting.
Done by Ben Arfa. It's a terrific run by Ben Arfa. He could go all the way. He has gone all the way.
And I'm leaning more gifted and talented. The way that I put together skill combinations, coordination, French expression, Premier League links. I was ball rolling and dragged back into scoop turns for days. Man, I miss you. I miss you, Ben Arfa. Butland, that guy saved me in so many matches and also saved my opposition. Definitely at least sweaty. Can a goalkeeper cause nightmares? I'm starting him off in sweat. Chikawi, this was memories from the rip. The first iteration truly of a 5-star weak foot, 5-star skill moves. But once he got that upgrade with the inform, the man was so gifted and talented. And it was really the only year. FIFA 15 Chikawi was it. Day.
Striker, we have got Dede, the center back. Okay?
Part of this Brazilian grouping, I would say, with these center backs that big bodies, a lot of pace, plenty of memories, but surely at least into the sweat. Di Natale, we're giving him memories for now. Doumbia, this is why we have nightmares.
Doumbia!
The power of Doumbia. This man didn't just break controllers. He ruined consoles. Monitors were lost. Doumbia was it. Emenike, you remember the name. We all learned the name. He's similar to Doumbia for me. You could make an overpowered, just disgusting squad. Emenike was strong. I'm putting him with Doumbia. S1, legend for 75, absolute sweat. His output for his rating, unbelievable. And again, the amount of content and videos about S1. And he's never had another year or another item that was able to do this. Not at that level. Freddie Guarin, fantastic midfielder. All you needed in the midfield. Barbo had 2 or 3 years. FIFA 13, 14, and 15, unstoppable. He's a little bit better than Sweaty. He was sweaty, but he's a little bit better. Gervinho's going into sweat. I'm not trying to reserve gifted and talented just for the skill moves and the expressionist. How many of you remember the Brasilver movement? And this is something dear to my heart and I miss so greatly as EA has released more titles, more promos, more upgraded items. The position for early overpowered players is less and less important, and we never see bronze or silver players in rotations. It just does not happen. But back in the day, for silvers, elite. Jobson was real cool. I had some good memories with Jobson. Liete, we're going to give him a little bit of a heavier notch. He starts off here, but he had this inform, and his shooting got a significant bump. Enough for me to be able to take him to Division 1 and put on a bit of a showcase. David Luiz, good luck getting past David Luiz. And there was a few years. I went through, I was backtracking, trying to figure out which David Luiz is best suited for us to gravitate towards. Because when he was at Chelsea, even some of those PSG items were good to go. I would say David Luiz, brick wall, but still talented, not only with the chase back and the athleticism, but the facilitation out of the back. Gifted and talented. Mayuka, legend. I'm going into sweaty. If you know, then you know. Mendy, whew, you could use that 83 Mendy for the year. Almost endgame from the very beginning. That level of overpowered nature at that rating, unparalleled. And I don't know going forward with the way that we see upgrades, if it's ever possible for that to happen again. This was the same year that Mendy had the 85 foot miss release, which I wish that EA would bring back. EA developers, we miss Ultimate Scream. We miss Foot Miss. And I don't know, but I feel like EA wanted to get away from holiday releases to a certain degree. Bring them back and add some more. Miccoli might be a little sweatier than Di Natale. That's how I felt. And I'm upset that I know that I'm missing a third Italian. Naldo. Wow. What an item. Again, with the Brazilian flavor. Naldo at Wolfsburg. What a time to be alive. I'm still going memories. I don't know that he was quite as sweaty. You'll see. We have a couple options that are similar. Nilmar, gifted and talented for sure. In fact, I think we got to bump that up. People still talk about Nilmar to this day, and they didn't even play FIFA 12. Alexander Pato, boy, a what-if question, and that we'll never get the answer. He came out the gates firing at AC Milan.
Pato will look to come forward, and it's looking very good already. It's Alexander Pato, and it's 1-0.
Gifted and talented, pure menace. Ramirez, welcome to FC 24. Got the hero foot item, of course. 88 pace at that point in time. He was everywhere. Renato Sanchez, who also had the Europa item, which again, I don't know if he should go into this. Gotta be at least gifted and talented. I don't know if he was causing nightmares or not. Santana, super sweaty. 77 overall, causing problems. Doing the business. Kimpembe, I was never the #1 fan, but the amount of squads that I went up against in the time period that he lasted, especially in the era that he was playing in, shout out to Kimpembe. El Shaarawy, great memories. Just fantastic. Chucky Lozano, pure sweat. Also had an inform, same period. Disgusting. Militao for an 81. Again, more current era. Ridiculous how good he actually was.
I'm Chris Smalling.
Maldini. This is the legend of Maldini. And the only year that his baseline ever had that level of impact, influence. This got to be it. Sturridge. Oh, what a sweat fest. He's close. I'm telling you, Sturridge. I might have had some nightmares. As an Everton supporter, this hurt me. I think he's getting the bump. That Sturridge was gross. And he would do the dance and prance and... Taiwo. For sure. Sweat. Pure sweat. Wallison, good times. Let them roll. Had me trying to learn some Portuguese. Welton, even better. Significantly improved. At least gifted and talented. He's still in that boxy era. All the Brazilian teams, Welton was in action. Schürrle, he was probably more or less okay. He had a crazy long shot. If you were hitting finesse shots, unreal range. Jackson Martinez, most slept on from this group. He was fantastic for me. Just has to give him at least memories, but I don't know if he was an all-inclusive top tier for everyone. But for yours truly, the way I was body feigning, shoulders shaking, shimmying. Oh, Draxler and KDB. Do you remember this partnership in the Bundesliga? Two non-rares you did not want to see with perfect weak foots. I don't know that they were sweaty, but they were so reliable. And the memories are in play. I'm tempted to kind of put them into a gifted and talented. I was playing with Draxler and KDB 4 or 5 months into that title run. Calvin, whew, we had some good times. That man had the burner, the skills, cutting inside. Goals were being scored. Morales was good. And I loved it as an Everton guy. He was rotational. He was usable. He was achievable. He made a difference. He didn't have wrongdoing, but I think there were better. Remy, God, what a sweaty player. No first touch. I just remember he could just boost the ball forward. Just push it forward, but once you got him into a full sprint, through ball merchant. Balotelli, good times. Let them roll. Jovetic, I used constantly. I might even put him at gifted and talented. He was my type of player. He was explosive. I scored goals. I'm just remembering the different doubles and triples and quadruple body feints. Jovetic was always in my rotation. The same with Tarot. 5-star skills. That extra bit of expression. You can clearly see a theme with this gifted and talented. I'm showing bias with players that gave me the skill moves. Reminded me of the good times. And if you go back and you play any retro FIFA, those games were not perfect. They were more arcadey, more fast-paced. There was a larger skill gap. It felt more as if you're playing a video game. And go back and rerun this if you don't believe me, as opposed to a simulation. We had long shots and skills and a lot of reaction and just fluidity. We did have so much more offense. And I will say this on record, I feel as if the defensive manual movement combined with the offensive quickness and the reactiveness and the skills created a true skill gap. Musa, definitely a sweat, but I don't know that he's in that category of sweat. He's not that memorable for me. He's more or less okay. He wasn't as good as the other counterparts in the same position, but he was being combined with Doumbia, and for that reason, he is going to go down as memorable. The Incredible Hulk. Wow, what a player. Locomotive. Hulk's another question mark because we didn't truly get to see him play in the big leagues and the big tournaments and the big competitions on a regular reoccurring basis throughout any period of his career. I have so many questions because I believe in his natural ability and individualism, and we just didn't get to see it on the biggest of stages. So from a fan perspective, I would have wanted more, or I do want more. Biabiani, kind of one-dimensional, but he was so much faster than everyone, and he was in all teams. Martin Caceres, what a player. Fantastic center back. Abate, this might be a hot take. I'm putting him in okay because Abate was good, but my theory is that we didn't have other options, therefore he became the default for that position and gave him additional longevity and even memorability. And if you're building a Serie A squad, Abate was the guy. Kyle Walker burst onto the scene. I'm gonna lean him into sweaty, but I could probably bring up Kyle Walker in the past 3 or 4 years, even starting as an 83, 84, 85, and say that he might be at that level of nightmares with some of the chase back and the physicality. The fastest center back to exist, Marvell Wynn, the American. If I recall, the reason he was so fast is because he had a documented sprint speed from running track. Therefore, EA could use that as a form of credibility and proof of his pace. Not that he didn't look rapid on the pitch. He does, and he did. If you're building a team MLS based, of course you would use him, but he wasn't at the same level, and he didn't create the same memory, even being an American, as some of the other players that grew into superstardom of longevity and nostalgic, reoccurring conversations and discussion for many years to come. Wynn never hit that sort of level. Let's do a quick review. From the okay stance, I know that these guys aren't going up, even though I will say Schürrle with the long-range efforts, again, on record, pretty remarkable. Naldo didn't do the business the same way as Felipe Santana or even Dede, so I actually think I'm going to bring him down into okay. I don't know if that makes me a hater, but that's what I'm doing. I'm tempted with Militao. Maybe go up to gifted and talented. I got a lot of respect in this day and age when you have an 81 overall that not only was selling for a higher price tag, but most importantly, he was usable. After a promo, didn't matter. Didn't have to upgrade. I hated going up against that Aubameyang. At least gifted and talented. But when I'm looking at the Doumbias and the Sturridge and the Emenike and the Barbo, Aubameyang was having a similar conversation. He was at the same table. But when I think back, you go into these matchup screens, when you saw Doumbia, when you saw Sturridge and Emenike and a Barbo, you didn't want to play. When you saw Mendy, you knew you couldn't beat him in 50-50s. When you saw Nilmar, you already knew what kind of matchup that was going to be. Ramirez, good luck versus Ramirez in the midfield. That's where my mentality and that space has to be. David Luiz actually makes a case. You weren't defeating him. He was at that same level. This is the defensive version. He was a giant. I think I'm good with this. That's where I'm at. I'm still tempted with Aubameyang. We had him early, and I didn't know where he was going to end up, but he's really been on some upward trajectory. For that reason, I'm giving it to him. I'm giving Aubameyang the bump. All right, one more for the send-off, if you can believe it. If I'm giving Aubameyang, Wellington, this was a heavy review. I'm still conflicted. These guys cause nightmares. Let me know in the comment section if we missed players, we missed names, maybe even some of the upgrades from the informs or promos that didn't completely change items. So I'm not talking about players that go from an 82 to a 92. It's too big of a jump. I'd like to bring out even more of the nostalgic FIFA type of content. It was really where we got our start and had our massive growth, probably our best period of community within the FIFA world and the FIFA realm. Either way, I appreciate you, and I have a lot more content coming out ASAP.